Here we are, take number 2 of Midlands AF, because God knows why Instagram hates us so much, but this happens every single time. So I'm just going to wait a second. Right, I can see that Benji's here. Benji isn't able to join, interesting. Right, I've just invited you. Yay, I can see you!
Me and my baby Belle.
Oh, yeah. Right, hold on. Oh, phew, thank God for that. Like, because it was really weird. I basically, I had my phone here and I could only see myself. Then I had John's phone here and I could see both of us. But the time difference was really weird. It was like about 3 seconds behind.
Horrible. No, this is. I think this is the only problem that I find with Instagram Live. It's the fact that it's not the best platform to use, but not in like obviously there's not any other platforms to use really, but it just doesn't seem to quite work properly enough for it
Mm,
to work smoothly. Sorry, Instagram. I love you. Don't take it away from me because then I'd have nothing to do with my day other
yeah,
than like doom scroll Facebook instead.
still thank you, sir.
All
Anyway,
right.
welcome to Midlands AF, episode number 4. Can you believe that we're on episode number 4? Like from us having a random conversation, deciding to do this thing, and then we're on the 4th episode. And
It's
we've already got episode number 5 in the pipeline, and we have a guest confirmed for it, which I'm not going to announce on this one. You're going to have to wait and find out, actually.
I am going to announce this secretly. I'm not actually joining anybody for the next Midlands AF Live. I'm actually ducking out on this one. And it'll all become abundantly clear when that happens. So, but yeah, it's one that I'm going to have to sit back and watch like everybody else does, which is quite exciting because it means that I don't have to do any preparation and I can just sit around and do nothing, which is my
Yeah.
favourite thing to do.
Well,
So,
the theme of the next one is very exciting indeed, but I cannot say any more about it. You'll have to wait. Shush, John.
it's quite funny actually because I think obviously we make such a point to say that like these sessions we do wing them pretty much, like we have a bit of a loose agenda and a loose kind of plan for them, but actually there is so much planning involved with these as well. There's kind of like loads of planning to not plan anything, if that makes any sense. So,
Yeah.
we don't just sit around and go, oh yeah, should we do a live next week and just like see where it goes. There is actually a decent amount of planning involved with doing these things. So don't worry, we don't actually just sit around and do nothing sometimes, maybe.
I mean, they're not scripted, let's put it that way. They're not scripted, but we do have to put quite a lot of planning into when we're going to do them.
And what we're doing with them. Yeah, absolutely. So shall we start?
Yeah, so this episode number 4, is called From Accountability to Community. The reason that it's called that is because we've got 2 very special guests today who we will bring on shortly. And it is basically a Midlands Sober Society admin party tonight, which we will explain in a minute. But first of all, we better do our introduction.
And I'll do it right this time.
Oh, don't, because it makes it more interesting. Okay. Hi, I'm Amy, creator of Midlands Sober Society and Sober Cult Leader.
And hi, I'm Benji. I am Midlands Sober Society admin and general sober queen.
And
we are Midlands
AF.
AF. That was the best we've ever done that.
So bad at that. And now for the only serious part.
We are real people having real conversations that are unscripted and may be potentially triggering for some.
This is not intended for anyone's ears under the age of 18. Please use your discretion. The sessions will be available to listen back to at a later time.
We're not affiliated with any drugs or alcohol counselling services. We are not trained professionals in this field. Please take any advice or opinions with a pinch of salt.
Midlands Sober Society is an alcohol-free community based on mutual respect, offering friendship, support to all. We have in-person meetups once a month all over the Midlands. You can find us on Facebook and Instagram, and now also on YouTube, and sometime in the future, when we figure out how, TikTok and Spotify.
Awesome sauce. I still feel like I should really get on the TikTok thing because that's like my thing that I do. And yeah, I've still made no effort whatsoever to do anything with it.
Do not understand TikTok. And I do really apologise to everybody if there is anybody who is still waiting for episode 3 of Midlands AF, which was hilarious, where we had Hoochie with us, Happy Without the Hooch, and also some shocking revelations that came out. If anyone is waiting for that to be uploaded to YouTube, that is my fault. It's not been done yet because I forgot the login details. So it's sorted now.
All I will say about the last episode is that it kind of went exactly how I expected it to go, but also there were some revelations on it that blew my fucking mind. And I'm still kind of reeling from it. Like, there's just, I mean, I'm not going to go into it now, but honestly, everybody, you have to watch the last episode. I have not laughed like that in such a long time. And I've gone back and watched it time and time again, just because when I need a bit of a laugh, I just go back and watch it because it was just hilarious. So yeah, definitely when Amy uploads it to YouTube, it's on Instagram as well. So if you want to watch it, just go on the Instagram page. But yeah, hold on to your hats because that was quite the episode of chaos.
It was. So let's see if we can do even better for this one.
Let's see if we can start inviting people.
Yeah, so we've got 2 very special guests in today's episode. We are going to be joined by the lovely Zack, who is one of our admins. He's also our artistic and creative genius. He creates all of our artwork and posters and everything like that. And we've also got Chris, who's our other admin who's joining us, who is like one of the friendliest, funniest guys that I've ever met, and he's very heavily involved in helping us organise all of our in-person meetups. So we want to get them involved because it's not just me and Benji who run this group. There's a group of admins who look after us all. So let me see if this is going to work. Oh Lord.
We did kind of have to drag them kicking and screaming because we realised that that being live on Instagram is a whole different ball game to kind of posting on groups and doing that sort of thing. So we really appreciate the fact that they've agreed to come and talk to us today. Hey!
Hello.
Hey, Zack. How are you?
Yeah, good, thank you. How are you?
This is amazing. I've never seen an Instagram live with 4 people before.
I can only see 3 people, and one of those is me.
Chris, what on earth is going on?
Still haven't seen one with 4.
Hey!
Something's happening.
Try me again.
Hey! There we go.
You're repping the old school t-shirt. This is the evolution of Midlands Sober Society right here. No logo, old logo, new logo.
Hello, Zack.
Hello, mate. How are you?
I was married live.
Yeah, pretty decent, mate. Thank you.
Where's the wife?
I think she's watching.
Oh, yeah.
Cool.
All right then. Well, we have, as standard, I have produced an agenda, which we're not going to follow, obviously, but I do it for shits and giggles anyway. So obviously Amy mentioned the fact that this episode is all about kind of accountability and then building that sober community. Obviously, when we've all kind of been a variety of different stages in our sobriety, obviously me, Chris and Amy, we're all about the same sort of time frame, which is about sort of like 14, 15 months. Zack, you must be, God, about 2.5 years by this point.
Yeah, just over, just coming up to 1,000 days actually.
That is bonkers.
Yeah.
Absolutely bonkers.
That's ridiculous. Yeah.
Do you feel?
So cool.
Do you feel? Because I know that we've kind of had these conversations before, where you kind of hit a year and you get to a point where you're like, shit, I've hit a year. This is great because I kind of feel like I've hit that massive milestone, and at least I felt when I hit that milestone, I was like, shit, I can do anything now because, I've hit a year. Do you feel now, sort of like 2.5 years down the line, how does that differ for you from being like at our point? Sorry, I kind of forgot the rest of that sentence. I was like, oh, yeah. Shit.
Is it going to end? Yeah. I think the question.
It's like listening to children talk about anything.
I didn't want to interrupt you. Yeah, when it got to a year, when it got to a year, it was like I didn't even feel qualified to post on Instagram about sobriety until after I'd passed a year, and then I didn't even start this Instagram until a year and 2 months or something like that. And then once I got past 2 years, it sort of became like this is just normal now. This is it's a bit. I kind of became a bit sort of jaded with it became sort of let's just live normal life. What does that say? Hi, Gary.
I didn't want to interrupt you.
By holding a bit. But yeah. I think now that I'm coming closer to 3 years and 1,000 days, it's starting to feel a bit more special again. And I sort of, you obviously get used to it being normal life, but I think when you get closer to milestones, it sort of reminds you and you reflect, don't you? And you just think, yes, this is normal life, but it wasn't always normal life. And I'm so grateful to be where I am now. And that's the end of that sentence. I'm just insanely grateful.
I was talking to someone earlier who's in early sobriety about how you don't realise necessarily at the start how much it completely transforms your life becoming sober. Like at the beginning it's quite intimidating and scary because it brings up such a lot that you've probably kept hidden and numbed out, and then all these issues start coming up and you have to deal with them. But that's kind of where the transformation happens, because you're suddenly kind of faced with all this stuff you've got to deal with, and it's really, really tough. Yeah. But when you get past that, and not that the work kind of ever ends, stuff always comes up throughout your entire life, but the more you deal with it and the more you kind of keep constantly up leveling, these things start opening up in your life, and like new pathways, you meet new people, and like my life is completely unrecognisable now than it was 16 months ago or whenever it was when I stopped drinking alcohol. Like I'm a completely different person, living a completely different life. So you're like even further into the journey now, and I just think that's exciting to think there's more to come.
Yeah, it's exciting when you find that newfound confidence. Confidence is something you have to build. If you're someone that used to drink, to have confidence and to be able to be in social situations like I was, and I know a lot of people are, to be able to develop that real confidence, to even be able to do something like this calmly and with a certain amount of calmness, or even to feel that anxiety still, but to be able to do it anyway because you don't feel quite as bad because you've built up that resilience, is it's so special. But I think it's important to note as well that that's not about how long you've not been drinking, it's about how soon you begin to face those things. And I think there's a difference between stopping drinking and facing those demons and sort of doing the work needed, because you can avoid that still while sober.
Yeah,
but so worth it.
Definitely worth it. And it's like I think in early sobriety, when you kind of, first of all, you feel a bit superhuman, don't you? That you're like, I'm not drinking, and you almost want to suddenly become some kind of sober activist and make everyone go, become sober, it's the best thing ever. And then and it's really frustrating when you can see people who aren't quite at the same stage as you. And I think you have to get to a point where, if you think back to your own journey, like I attempted sobriety more than once. It wasn't just like I just stopped drinking and that was it. I tried to do it a few times. I did it originally years ago when I started the Midlands Sober Society in the first place, and I didn't stick to it. You know, I started this community and then I buggered off and left and, you know, put Gary in charge, and I was like, sorry, Gary, like, I don't think I can do it anymore. And I went and I didn't come back for a while because it hadn't quite fully clicked for me. And you've got to get to a certain point, and it doesn't matter what anyone says to you, no one can kind of do it for you. You've got to get to a very specific place in your life where you're ready. And that's hard, especially when you want to bring everyone along on your journey because it's so amazing, but you can't because they're not there, and you kind of just have to watch.
Yeah, it is difficult.
It's hard at first because I'd always wanted to give up drinking and had 0 attempts. That was the first attempt properly. And when I did it, I was like, yes! And I was like, shit, I've got no friends now. Didn't realise you lost some friends along the way, although I'd read about it and listened to podcasts about it. But then slowly, the friends have come around to me and I've come around to them a bit more, so I'm more comfortable being with them. But yeah, it can be lonely at first, can't it? And I think that's what we're seeing on the group now. There's a few pushbacks from friends, isn't there, with a few people on the Facebook group. And it is pretty sad, isn't it, when that happens? But you've got to stay focused, stay in your lane, like we told them. But
I think this is something that I know that I've spoken to you, Chris, about it, and I've spoken to a couple of other people in the group about it, is the fact that I feel very lucky that I didn't really experience that because a lot of my friendship group were people that didn't really drink anyway, and they were people that I didn't actually drink with. So when I went sober, there wasn't that, oh, I've suddenly lost a load of friends, because I mean, I drank on my own in my house. There wasn't anybody else involved in that. And so when I stopped drinking, I kind of had sort of a better social life because I actually could go out and see my friends and do that. So I've tried to kind of like spend a bit more time recently talking with people who've had that experience because, you know, I want to understand it better so I can better support people in that situation. But it is still a little bit alien to me because I didn't have that experience, and, you know, I'm never really going to be able to fully understand it like that. And, you know, I know that I'm very, very lucky because of that. But yeah, it's
are you the only one of your friends circle, Zach, apart from your wife, who doesn't drink, and your wife's sister? I answered the question.
Apart from those 2 people that you mentioned, I think just slightly aside from that, most of the friends I lost were people I pushed away with my drinking rather than people who were like, there's certain people I cannot be around now that drink and are not great but that's more of my decision than theirs. Like, I think people have been fairly good with it, but that's because no one drank as much as me. So yeah, it's definitely more. You can lose friends from multiple different ways, can't you? From it, yeah. Yeah.
Well, I've worked out since I've been sober, I've had 0 arguments with anyone. And I only thought this the other week, and I was like, I had about 1 million arguments before I got sober. Now, and I was thinking, oh, did I? And no, not one in over a year, not one argument about anything.
That's amazing. But it minimises it, doesn't it? Massively.
No fights in pubs. How mad.
I genuinely can't imagine you fighting.
No, I can't imagine you fighting either.
I was a windmiller when I fought.
He didn't say winning, he just said fighting.
Yeah. I wasn't very good at punching.
It's interesting, isn't it, how like it's different for everyone. So I think like Benji and you said like you drank at home, so it didn't necessarily affect your friends group as much in that way. And like I was very much the same as Zack. So I only drank because I had such bad social anxiety. So I had to drink to put myself in situations where there were a lot of people. So my friendship groups and my social groups were all based around being out and drinking. So when I stopped drinking, I kind of removed myself from those situations because I couldn't go into a pub or a club or anything sober at the start, you know. So I kind of realised that a lot of the people I used to hang around with weren't necessarily friends. They were just people that I kind of went to the pub with, and just, you know, they didn't really exist in my life after I stopped doing those things. And I don't think necessarily that was a bad thing, because it does make you realise there's a difference between friendships and acquaintances, I guess. And you do start to really build real friendships when things like alcohol aren't involved, because you've got the space and the capacity to get to know people on a completely different level and for who they really are.
Yeah.
You can have more conversations with people on Instagram than you can with your old friends, can't you? Which is mad. People you've never met, you can have more deeper meaningfuls with them and open up more to them than you can with your mate in the pub.
Because we all enjoy talking about our feelings.
All the time.
All the time.
Yeah. So
I think you stay away from the pubs though at the start. You think you can do it, don't you? You think, well, I'll still go in the pubs, I'll just have an AF drink. And then you go in and you think, this is shit. But then
there Zack is with his AF drink.
Yeah.
I am proving my point.
I'm only just getting to the point now, or maybe in the last 6 months, where I felt like I could go out again, maybe, and be around people who are drinking. And that's like, I've got no issue with people going out drinking. I'm not like the sober mafia. But I prefer not to be around people who are drinking. But I think that I could do it now if I wanted to.
We're not the same, but we look like it. All wearing the same t-shirts.
It's a cult.
We are so cool.
Yeah.
You said being sober is boring and not cool. I mean, look at her.
I should have worn my shirt.
Oh, no. Do you feel left out now?
We can wait if you want to just like run off. If you know, we can.
I genuinely wear it that often. I think it could be in the wash. I wear it next week. Yeah.
So, what did we have on the agenda, Mrs. Agenda Keeper?
Starting out in sobriety, which I feel like we've kind of covered quite well, and building the community, which is kind of what we're sort of on at the moment.
Yeah. So building a community, that started as my accountability page, and I didn't think anyone would really be very interested, and the community just built itself. Like, I didn't really even advertise it at the start. And look where we are now. We've got like, I don't even know how many, like we're coming up to about 400 people, aren't we, on Facebook now? And we're well over 1,000 on Instagram. And that's just insane, really, to think about. And when we do our in-person meetups, which we do every single month, we always see new faces. There's always people that have never been to a meetup before that turn up. And it's never a huge amount of people at any one time, which I think is actually quite a nice thing because it's not intimidating or overwhelming. It's,
I think
yeah.
it depends what you do as well, because I was thinking back to the meet that we had in June, and we had a good 25 people turn up to that meet. Yeah, it must have been about 25 people that turned up to that meet. Whereas the things like the hikes, because they're kind of, let's be honest, nobody really wanted to hike in 30-degree heat on Saturday or whatever day we did it. So that's fair. I understand that. Hey?
I didn't want to hike by the end.
No, I think we were all. Oh, it was. I tell you what, it was a great meet, but honestly, I feel like there were bad choices. I've now got to go faster stripe on my stomach because I had someone put sun cream on my back, and then I completely forgot to put sun cream on the front. So yeah, but things like the hikes, they're a little bit more kind of, they're a bit further out. You need to be able to travel to get to them, really. You need to have kind of a level of fitness to be able to kind of climb up a hill. So they're a very different sort of meet. So they're never going to be as well attended as, going to somewhere like Birmingham and doing a coffee meet that's sort of easier to get to. But, it like you said, there is always a new face every time we go to a new venue or a new whatever event it is. There is always someone that we've not met before that goes on that meet, and I think that's really important because it just shows that pushing yourself out there, you do end up with new people to talk to and new friends. I always feel like every time I go to a meet, it's oh my god, I've got so many new friends just from going to this one thing, and it's it's really exciting.
And this is why we genuinely put a lot of thought into our meetups, and we try really, really hard to kind of mix it up between the West Midlands and the East Midlands, because we understand that, when I called the group Midlands Sober Society, and I didn't realise that Midlands was as big as it was, that it's such a large area. People are living all over the place, and it's hours in between places. So as much as I would like everything to be in Birmingham, it can't be. So, but I actually really enjoy travelling around and meeting people. Say, when we went to Nottingham, I probably met people at the Nottingham meetup that would never come to one in the West Midlands because they can't get there, it's too far. But I think that's good that we've got that ability to represent all of the different places, and then we're all from different parts of the Midlands too. So it makes sense for us to kind of constantly keep basing ourselves in different areas.
So when you started the group, I know it was for accountability, but you had a vision of you wanted meets to be positive, didn't you? And
yeah, so I mean, I saw a lot of sobriety stuff on social media, and it was all very much kind of talking about why people became sober and almost focusing more on the negative of where people have come from. And I find listening to people's stories really interesting, and I'm not kind of discounting any of that, but I was more interested in kind of, okay, that's great, but where are we going next? Where can we go from here?
Yeah.
Let's embrace this new lifestyle that we've got and really live our lives and show how amazing sobriety can be. So yeah, I wanted it to be very much a positive, encouraging group, and it amazes me that is really what we've created, especially on the Facebook group. The amount of people you've got on there that are just genuinely your cheerleader is fantastic.
It's really nice to have cheerleaders that are people that you've never met before, and in some cases people that you don't meet for a very, very long time, and then when you finally meet them, you're just like, oh my god, you're a real person, and you do real things, and it's like, oh my god, it kind of blows my mind. And I think, you know, as much as we all talk about how social media is kind of like the death of the future and whatever else, because, you know, all we do is doom scroll all day, which is, I think, part of it. Like, I've met some people online that I would, you know, if an online community hadn't have existed, I would never have met those people. And I think it's incredible that I've met people who are so important to me now, basically on the internet. And, you know, I know, obviously, having come through COVID and things like that, everyone heavily relied on the online communities, but you know, it genuinely blows my mind that I meet people that can be, you know, miles and miles and miles away from myself, but have become really important people that, you know, that have become really important people or persons in my life. It's bonkers, really. And it makes me hate social media a little bit less.
I think it's really important to point out as well is, I know we're called Midlands Sober Society, but it is genuinely meant for anybody. Like, it's called Midlands Sober Society because that's where I live, and also that is where we have our in-person meetups. They're always going to be in the Midlands somewhere, but you do not have to live in the Midlands yourself to join our group.
No.
You can be living anywhere you want. You can live the other side of the world if you want to. It's a social media group. You can still join and you can still get involved. If you live, like, we've got Hoochie, like, as a member of our group. He lives in Essex, I want to say. He travels up to our meetings sometimes. Like, if you can get there, then come along. Like, you don't have to show proof of your address that you're a Midlander. So I was just reading the Shari. I'm sorry if I'm not pronouncing. Is it Charl? Oh, it's very, very small on my phone. Charl. Talking about, she used to live in the Midlands, but now she lives in New Zealand. Join the group. Come and join us on Facebook. Honestly, you will get so much support on there. It isn't important to us if you're not living in the Midlands anymore. If you've ever lived in the Midlands, come and join us, because you can post on there anything that's going on in your life, good, bad, whatever. You will end up with loads of comments, loads and loads of support. And I think that is why community is so important to us in sobriety, because sometimes you feel like no one else gets it. And I feel like a sober bore sometimes, because I talk to people who aren't sober about being sober, and then they're just like, here we go again. But no one will ever say that to you in these groups. We love talking about it. You can come and talk about it all day. So come and join and chat to us. The feeling of community and family is really, really important, because at the end of the day, what we all want is to feel safe and heard. And that is what this group is there for, to give that opportunity.
I like on the group when people put like 50 days, 100 days, or something, because I remember how I felt when I was 50 days and 100 days, and you just think, God.
Yeah, that's it. We've all been there, haven't we?
Huge milestones, especially those early days.
I think 100 days is a big milestone.
Yeah, I think
just meant,
like, some people a week, a month, like they're big, and sometimes you don't feel like you can celebrate those with people in your standard life, in your normal life. And it's nice to feel like, you know, these people get it, and these people will understand whatever I throw at them. Most likely there's going to be someone at least who's going to celebrate that win with me, or console me and say that they understand and talk to me about it. And that's the magic of a group of people who are bound by something other than location. It's not just about location. It's not just like a hobby that we're all into. It's people. Everyone's an individual, and everyone's completely different. And you know, some people like hiking, some people like coffee, some people like going to the pub and having an AF drink. But we all understand sobriety, and we all understand how difficult it can be in a world of people that are drinking, in a world that like is just obsessed with alcohol. And we all understand how it can feel to even get through a really hard day where you just manage not to drink, or whatever it is, that getting through peer pressure, getting through 30 days. And I think it's, I don't know, it's a bit of a cliche, but every milestone matters. And so that's what about these groups is you can celebrate with people who get that.
Yeah.
That leads us on quite nicely, guys, to the next thing that is on the agenda of kind of like, obviously when you do reach those like little mini milestones and you do celebrate those. And I think that they're really, really important to kind of get through the early days, because especially when I find that I kind of get, I've got to this point now, and like you said, you get to a week and you celebrate it, then you get to 2 weeks and you celebrate and stuff. But one of the things that I found really important now is kind of like really looking after myself, and those things like in the really, really early days, really kind of finding those ways to look after yourself really well. Because obviously, especially when, obviously if you're an everyday drinker and then you go to not drinking, or anybody who's had sort of consumed a significant amount of alcohol during their time, your body is recovering from that, and you really need to spend a lot of time looking after it, just to because your body needs to heal from that. And I think it's really important to remember like the little things that we did in the early days, or even now. I mean, I'm still, I have self-care Tuesdays, and I spend my Tuesdays like in a face pack, painting my nails, doing all of those stereotypically girly things, because it makes me feel better. And being able to have access to other people's things of what they do to look after themselves. And I think that's really important, and that's what you get from the community as well, because people will say, oh, I'm a week in, I'm feeling like shit, tell me what I can do to make me feel better. And you pick up so much stuff from doing things like that as well, which I think is really, really important.
Do we go round and just quickly each of us give our tips on self-care or kind of what we do, or the best way to do it?
Yeah. Do you want to start, Amy?
Yeah, sure. Okay, so I would say for me, things like moving my body is incredibly important. So I have to do some form of exercise, and that's not because I'm massively athletic or fit in any way, shape or form, but for me, it really affects my mental health if I do not work out and feel those kind of, the endorphins get released and the sense of achievement that you get. So going to the gym is really important for me. And then to balance that out, because that's quite very go, I have to have down time, so I have to have the opposite end of the scale. So yoga is really important to me. I try to meditate every day, which I know some people find difficult, but you just got to remember it's a practice. Nobody can meditate at the beginning. You have to work at it. And I also really enjoy doing things like writing. So I do a lot of brain dumping. So first thing in the morning or last thing at night before I go to bed, just free writing anything that's in my head and getting it out is really useful. Apart from that, eating really good food. Food has replaced everything in my life, every vice that I had, I think. And luckily I live with someone who's an amazing cook. And also going out in nature, like being around nature is the best therapy, I think. On to you.
Me? Oh, do I have to? Yeah, I mean, like I said, I do my self-care Tuesdays where I literally I have a face mask, I'll sit in the bath, I'll paint my nails, I will just pamper myself a little bit, which is only something I actually recently started doing. But I find that it makes a massive difference. But for me, a bit like you, Amy, I have to be outside. It doesn't necessarily have to be up a mountain, because anyone that knows me reasonably well knows that I will, if there's a mountain to climb, I'm going to climb it. If there's something to stand on, jump off, I'm going to find it and do it. But like tonight, I've had just like a really, really, really long day, and I'm shattered, and my head's a little bit. And I went for a walk for a couple of hours after work, and it just made a huge difference to how I felt. And I find that pretty much just being outside, whether it's raining or not, I don't really care. To be fair, I actually find it quite romantic walking in the rain, so I'm quite happy to go and walk in the rain. But just being outside and having that space and headspace. I mean, I'll always have my headphones on with some, something on, but just, being outside makes a huge difference to my mental health. And, the obvious ones, don't just eat Mars bars all day. Just,
Top tip.
eat a fucking vegetable once in a while, and drink some bloody water. That's it's very simple. Eat something green, drink something clear, go outside, and go to sleep.
We're basically complicated plants.
Complicated cucumbers.
Yes, we need sunshine, we need water, and we need to feel the ground. We need to feel earth. We are organic creatures. So think about what we would have done before we had all the fancy stuff. Basically, that's what we need.
Go on then, Zach. Do you sit around with a face mask on?
I love a good face mask.
Genuinely?
Yeah,
I love that.
Yeah. Obviously, I don't buy them. I mean, Lex has to force me to do them, of course. But yeah, they love a good face.
What, you have them after that?
Is what?
You have them after her? Can you reuse a face mask?
No, we do them at the same time.
I'm quite through.
You can't reuse a face mask.
There's frugal and there's whatever level that is.
Okay, well, you've both between you managed to go through like an entire self-help book.
the book is coming soon.
Yeah. So I'll try and come up with a couple of others. Getting outside is obviously really important. Let's get that out of the way. But a couple of other things that I like to do. I'm not always, realistically, not always. Sometimes I work too much. Sometimes I don't get out as much as I should. I don't exercise the way I should, but I like to make myself uncomfortable and do uncomfortable things, but in the right direction. So in the direction. Like, if I want to achieve something, or like but it makes me anxious to do, then I'll sort of force myself to do it. It feels crap in the moment, but afterwards it feels amazing. So I think that's like counterintuitive self-care. A lot of it's always about don't feel the things, but that's the other one, is I allow myself to feel those negative emotions and let them pass through me and process them rather than blocking them. But then listen to music, just connecting with music, and I love things with lyrics personally. I've got into a lot of dance stuff recently as well, and I'm working. I know Chris loves his dance, but if I really want to, if I'm connecting with those, like with feeling everything, it's definitely relating to lyrics. And then the other two, sleep's massively important. I've realised just how important that is, and when I don't sleep well, I feel it so much. Like the difference is night and day. You don't realise that until you get a good night's sleep for a couple of nights in a row, and you're like, where's all this energy come from? Without the need of coffee. And then finally, laughter. Like I every single day I belly laugh multiple times, and I think it's like such a overlooked thing. Even whether that's with someone else or whether that's watching something you find funny, just getting those cheeks hurting. Don't take that the wrong way. Getting those cheeks hurting, and
is that part of being uncomfortable as well?
Yeah, it is. Yeah, in the right way. Yeah.
I knew this would happen again.
So yeah, there's a couple of more, like scraping the bottom of the barrel, but there are things I do that might be a bit counterintuitive.
Yeah.
Chris, you're
I was going to say, I'm lucky, Chris. You're next.
No, that's okay. I get that with laughing, because when you give up drinking, you think, oh, am I going to be funny? Am I going to find things as funny as I used to? I thought when I gave up drinking, would I enjoy music the way I did before? And apparently I do. So, yeah, I think at the start, whenever things were building up, I'd go out for a walk and stick a podcast on and just kill a bit of time, really, and then come back. And I still do that now, but not for the reasons that I need to get out of the house. I just do it because I enjoy it. And what I've enjoyed, and I suppose it is a bit of self-care, like just watching films, old films that I've seen years and years ago, can't remember, and just getting into bed and enjoying just doing nothing. That's probably it, because you feel like you've got to be doing something all the time, but you haven't really, have you? Like you said about sitting with your feelings and hitting them head on, which is quite addictive sometimes.
Yeah, it is.
How am I going to deal with this fucker? The same as the last one. I'll sit and think about it.
Yeah.
Oh,
But yeah.
yeah, there's such joy in doing nothing.
Yeah.
Mm.
Well, what about dancing? 'Cause I know you recently went on holiday, didn't you, Chris? And you were like dancing sober for the first time. Do you find that's a form of self-care?
It is, not. Yeah, and I know I built it up, this big thing, but then when I got there and I was in the crowd, it wasn't like you couldn't tell who was drinking, who wasn't drinking, who, because everyone was focused on the DJ and the music.
Yeah.
I was like, this is what I've been missing. This bit, I can't sit in pubs and chat shit for hours like I used to, but I can still dance shit for hours.
Oh, the first time I figured out that I could dance sober was just like, once you get it over with that first time, and you really like unlocking a door, and I think it was actually Amy's birthday when we sober, when we had the karaoke and stuff, and just dancing there for the first time. It's like, wow, this is freedom, and it was so good.
To be fair, I dance. This is ridiculous. Pretty much every single morning, I will put something on my playlist, and I just dance around the kitchen. Like, I know on like my main page, I've got videos of me dancing around my living room here, because I started doing it as like I needed to get some energy out and doing it, and then the kids got involved, and then it just became just some stupid thing that we all do now. But yeah, I feel like it's just, sometimes, especially when you're feeling like really tense and stuff, it's a really good, easy way of like releasing some energy. And it's fun. It's just really fun. I can't dance for shit. I look ridiculous, but I just don't care. Because I'm in my house.
It's really important because we store energy in our bodies, whether that be positive or negative energy. But what dancing does is it transmutes that energy and it moves it around, and it helps you to release stuff that you might not necessarily be able to release in other ways. And I put music on and dance around the living room with the kids all the time. And, like Rex is insane. He, like the way he thrashes around. But to watch him is such a joy because he does not give a crap and he's not had any alcohol. He's living his absolute best life. So I'm like, I'm having some of that and I'm in there as well, and we're windmilling around like, 90s kids from the early 2000s, emo kids from the early 2000s. And we're just like, it's brilliant. And talking about dancing brings us on to the next subject. So I'm just keeping an eye on the time, and we've got less than 10 minutes left.
Okay.
And we need to discuss our vision for the future. So obviously this group has already grown 1,000,000 times more than I ever expected. So in terms of visions for the future, I don't know where this is going to go. We've already created a chat show, which I never thought was going to happen, and hopefully turning it into a podcast. But I think I just want it to continue to grow in terms of numbers and our meetups to get bigger. We have planned where we're going to hold our next meetups, which I did promise in some of the adverts that we would share with you. So this is the plan. everyone already knows about October. So October, talking about dancing, we are going to have a Halloween party. It is fancy dress, optional of course, but we will be in fancy dress. And it is on the 21st of October, and it's at a sober bar in Derby called Yarda, where we've been before and we've had a meet-up before, but we've got exclusive use of it. It is a ticketed event, and we will post details of how you can join us at that very soon. That is going to be really, really fun. Then we have also got a very loose plan for the next couple of months. So November, we have decided we will be coming back to the West Midlands, and we will be going to Shrewsbury. Now, we don't have dates for these as yet. You'll have to hold fire on those. We have to work out the finer details. October is Derby. November will be Shrewsbury. Hopefully there'll be some Christmas marketing stuff by then.
I was going to say,
yes, Benji.
if anybody from Shrewsbury has any particularly good ideas, because none of us know Shrewsbury at all. So if you've got some ideas, like
Alan is from Shrewsbury, Kate's from Shrewsbury, Pete's from Shrewsbury.
With some info.
Yeah, just drop some suggestions. We are more than happy to receive lots of suggestions.
We do house parties. We can just all go to someone's house. Pete's house, that looks a nice house. Let's go there.
So then December is going to be a very busy month for everyone. So what we're going to do is we will do a virtual meetup in December. We'll wear our Christmas jumpers. Maybe we'll have a quiz. Don't know yet. We haven't worked it out, but it will be virtual. January. Yes, Benji?
Oh my God, can we not have like matching Midlands Sober Society Christmas jumpers?
Maybe. Okay, we've got 5 minutes left, so I've got to crack on. January, cocktail making. We are going to do alcohol-free cocktail making, and that is again at Yarda in Derby. They are very kind and they keep hosting us and letting us do these amazing events. They're a small business and we really want to support them, so please come along to that. February, we will then be back in the West Midlands, and we are going to finally grace Coventry. So again, hit us up with ideas of where to go. And in March, we are going to be going to the hometown of a few of our admins, and that is Leicester.
Oh.
Pardon?
You're not going to Stoke. It doesn't matter.
We will, but not this time. We'll add it to the list. And we have 5 minutes left before we leave. We have got an announcement. If you've made it to this far in the live, congratulations. You will be the first people to find this out. We have a very big announcement to make. So Midlands Sober Society is made up of myself. I am the creator. And then we had Gary, who joined, who unfortunately isn't on the live, but he's always around. He is super supportive and amazing. We have got Zach, and we've got Benji, and we have got Chris, and they are all here today. And we're very lucky, and I'm very lucky to have them and to have such an amazing team support me. Now, we have also got somebody who is constantly lurking in the background, who is incredibly enthusiastic and supportive, especially to me. And over here, please. He's currently playing on his Nintendo Switch. Come over here. Come over here. Come over here. This is John.
Hey, John. Where's your tiara?
Oh, he hasn't got it on today. John, we've been talking about this for a while, but we want to know, would you like to become an official Midlands Sober Society admin and join our team and help us in organising all of the future events and everything? He's always there in the background anyway. He comes to every single meetup, and basically he's my emotional support John. And now he's going to be everyone's emotional support John. So he's going to become an official admin. So our team is now growing, which I think is appropriate because our members are definitely growing as well.
Welcome to the team. and there's a little gift to welcome you to the team. we found your sex tape with Amy.
And here's a preview.
About all the
Forward.
But for anyone who hasn't seen episode 3, go watch episode 3.
That will make sense if you go back and watch
yeah,
it.
Sorry.
Yeah, and I do. I know that some people did say some stuff in the chat. I don't know how long we've got. I'm going to quickly scroll back and see what I've missed. Charles, I get told I'm boring when I don't have a drink. That happens to all of us. And honestly, that is more of a reflection on the people who are saying that to you than it is you. Because I think sometimes sobriety triggers people, and it's like holding a mirror up to people, and it kind of shows them aspects of themselves that they're not necessarily comfortable with. You are not boring when you don't have a drink. You're just with the wrong people.
Oh, sorry, looking at me. Cheers.
Basically, it just means that they think they're boring when they're sober.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
And they may well be boring when they're sober, but it's not your problem because you're not them.
And to be fair, yeah, we thought that, didn't we, when we were drinking? If we thought too, if we give up drinking, what if we're boring? So I can see why people say it, because
Yeah, and that is absolutely what kind of held me back from sobriety for a really long time, because I had this public persona of this really kind of, you know, loud in your face kind of party animal. And I thought, if I take the alcohol away and I'm not that person anymore, then who's going to like me? And, you know.
I like you.
Thank you.
like you.
I'm all right, actually. I'm all right without the alcohol. So.
Like
it.
Oh, for God's sake. And Sarah said she's 3 weeks sober and she feels better than she can remember. She went for a swim this week for the first time in years and went to a sauna, and it was wonderful. Well, that sounds amazing, because let's face it, how much money we're saving by not buying alcohol. We should all be going to a spa. Why not? Why the hell not?
How much money are you saving, Benji?
Shut up, prick.
Oh
How many
God.
coffees have you had today?
I had 3 before I came on this.
Oh my God.
I think this is just going to descend into chaos in a minute. I did. You know what? When you first came on, I was like, "Why the hell has he got 2 mugs? Has he just got like 2 coffees going on at the same time?"
Chrissy, 2 mugs.
I didn't notice you had 2 mugs.
Yeah.
Are they both Midlands Sober Society mugs?
No, only one, but this it's a bit faulty, so I might have to get another one.
That was my fault because I took it on holiday with me, and I took it to an adventure playground.
Little day out.
Yeah, I need to get a new mug because mine was involved in an unfortunate football accident when we went camping. On that note, I am aware that I did do a post about merchandise, ordering merchandise a while ago, and I said that orders closed in August, and I haven't actually put the order through yet because a few people messaged me and they said because of the school holidays it was quite an expensive month for them, so it could be kind of keep it going. So if you want merchandise, then please let us know. Orders are still being taken. I will let you know when the closing date is.
Cool.
And John nearly fell over.
You did a great job, John. Well done. Good work. It's great to have you on board.
You can supplement it. So, yeah, is there anything we've
Don't
missed?
get you some fancy dress.
We've got our outfit sorted already.
Mm.
Yeah.
Chris won't tell anybody what he's doing for fancy dress.
Oh.
No.
Which
And I'll
is
be
it?
behind the bar, so
Oh, yeah.
you
Only
will.
my-
I've just told it, but you know what I mean.
I'll be it's just mildly infuriating not knowing. It's driving me insane.
Well, we've changed our mind on ours. We're not going as what I told you. I know.
can you tell me now? Not like now, but like, you know, send me a message and tell me, or is everyone just not telling me stuff nowadays?
I'll message you. I'll tell you. I'll tell you.
Yeah, to be fair, I think I've changed my mind as to what I'm going as well. So.
The thing with fancy dress, you don't tell everyone, then you all turn up and you go, oh, yeah, you look really good. And
Yeah, but what if you turn up the same as someone else? Though, to be fair, it's Halloween and yeah, that's difficult.
I won a fancy dress competition in the pub, which I didn't even attend.
That's
I went to
pretty
the pub after, and they were like, oh, Chris, you won the fancy dress. I was like, what's doing here? I was like, what's the first prize? It was a massive teddy. I was like, okay, yeah. It was when you could smoke in pubs and the teddy stunk of fags. So great days.
So, wasn't really a prize, though, was it?
What is Gaz saying? No one else will be an emu. I'm so okay, Gary.
Gary's got to go as that emu thing now, hasn't he?
Rod Full
Yeah.
That would be terrifying.
It would.
Oh my God.
I've got the chicken in bed now.
Oh my God. Right, okay. And then on that note, I'm going to bring this to a close. Thank you so much for joining us on this episode. It was really fun to have you both here.
Pleasure. Great fun.
Yeah.
Thank
you. Anything for you.
Thank you. Yeah, so another brilliant episode, which will be later uploaded to the page and Facebook. Well, the link will go on Facebook and it will go on YouTube, hopefully quicker than the last one did, which I will do maybe tomorrow. And yes, all of these future meet updates will be compiled into a lovely flyer type post, which Zack will work his magic on. And and we really hope that we get to meet some of you at one of them, or all of them, or, you know, whatever, or just come and join us on Facebook and have a chat. But again, it was a pleasure. I will speak to you all soon.
Thanks for having me.
Bye.
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 Bye.